Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2 Hours on a Sunday. I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick. And today we're going to be talking about the Mario movie. Let's go.
So right off the bat, we're going to get the negative out of the way because there's not much, just so we can jump right into the positive. The negatives, for me, I didn't like Cranky Kong's voice. Didn't do it for me. And I didn't like the excess use of non-Mario music.
I couldn't agree more. Very simple. Yeah, for me, it was the excessive use of 80s pop music because they could. And that's it. Like, the story was simple. I kind of agree with the Fred Armisen Cranky Kong, but I got past it pretty quickly.
I was just like, nah, not for me. But
Right.
otherwise,
Yeah,
Cranky Kong's cool to be in the movie.
Exactly. Loved all of their designs. Let's start with the positives.
The whole movie.
Good. And today, that's it.
Yeah, that's all we're talking about. We're giving it a solid, I would say 7.5, 8 out of 10 on enjoyability and rewatchability.
Absolutely. I'd give it like 8 stars.
I could definitely buy it on Blu-ray and put it on whenever I want.
Right? I'd get a poster. I'd put a poster up.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure.
Yeah,
there's some great ones.
The Luigi one, I think, is my favorite.
That Luigi one we saw at the movie theater, that one was awesome.
It's so good.
Let's start with the cast.
Sure.
I think besides Cranky Kong, I loved all the cast. I think Chris Pratt did a great job as Mario. You know, I wasn't hesitant on him in the first place. I was like, I don't really want to hear. They did give it to us, though, at the beginning, everybody. They gave us the Italian accents in their little fan-made commercial. If you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. And I think it was a nice little treat, but then they made a little joke about it. It's like, do you think it was too much given it? And they're like, no. But they brought it back to their Brooklyn. Chris Pratt's subtle little accent. It was enjoyable. I can listen to him all day.
Exactly. I never thought of him when I saw Mario talking. I saw Mario, and that was it. So, I loved the little like throwback to Italian Brooklyn excessive accents. It was great.
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day
was great.
Loved him. He was
as Lou.
Lou.
My boy Lou.
Very, very good choice. He played up the kind of scaredy cat role really well. Little brother as well. He was great. Anya Taylor-Joy as Peach.
I thought she was great as Peach. I thought she was great.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect Peach to sound like, right? She just had the presence there. The voice worked well with the model they had. And it was a solid interpretation of Peach.
Yep. The characterization of her being like kind of a boss, but also like letting Mario do his thing. It totally worked. She was confident.
Yeah.
Not overconfident, though. And I really like that.
She had a couple of the Super Smash Brothers moves that she has in the movie. And it was a nice little, see you. I see
exactly.
You. Now, Donkey Kong.
I
love Donkey Kong. I love Donkey Kong. He's so cool. Seth Rogen, I get why they picked him, but he also said, you know, guys, I'm not a voice actor. I just want you to know I can't do voices. So if you want me, I'm doing my voice. And they wanted him because of his voice. I think it worked well. I think you can, too. You know, he had a funny side to him.
Yes. And he has that kind of like deeper voice that just, it works as Donkey Kong. He's like a goofy, and I loved Donkey Kong's model. It looked amazing. I was sold for that first picture we saw of him. Yeah, it was great.
I love the dancing he did. He's let's give the people what they want, and the pecs are dancing. The pecs be popping. And his laugh, Seth Rogen's laugh, actually worked for like Donkey Kong when he was doing like his, ape
chuckle,
chuckle. That was good.
Yeah,
we'll get into Donkey Kong more because he's in the middle of the movie.
Yes,
and the great sequence that occurs. But the final person, other than Keegan-Michael Key, is Toad, which I absolutely loved.
I thought he was great.
Toad was one of the best characters.
He was, and
I just loved it.
I didn't see Keegan-Michael Key. I saw it I was like, that's a good Toad voice. It's not that like super shrill, annoying Toad voice you always think of. It was a great. It just worked so well.
And I think everyone's highlight of the film has to be Jack Black as Bowser. He just crushed it. Yep. Yeah, and you could tell, we talked about this in our Lightyear podcast, but Jack Black, his voice is everything. When they brought him into the booth, you could tell how he gives his Kung Fu Panda performances, but this one, you knew, he was just like, I want to be Bowser, and he just crushed it.
As much as I don't want to picture the actor doing the voices, when it comes to Jack Black as Bowser, I do. I want to see him, I want to see a cut of the movie with just Jack Black in the booth giving his lines. Because everything he does is animated, and it's so natural to him, and So good. So good.
Yeah, he had that little deep growl to it too, so it wasn't full Jack Black, but you could it was him. But
Exactly.
you didn't never took you out. I was like, I'm so in for this Bowser.
Yep. And we'll definitely be talking about his performance in the middle of the movie.
Now, to kick off the start of the movie, what I loved about the aspect of them being in Brooklyn is I loved them showing us Mario's family. I don't know why that was so funny to me, but just to see him living, and then it's a typical Italian large family where they're all sitting around the table for breakfast and they're making fun of Mario and Luigi for wearing the white gloves, and they were like, "Oh, it's like, God, we have to have a signature." And the dad was like, "What are you doing? Giving up a day job for your dreams?" It's stupid.
It's so soul crushing and real. And yeah, and then they have to like persevere through that. I loved seeing the whole family, and then like the uncles and the aunts, and they have like the little nephews at the
Yeah.
dinner table. It's so good. Like I just love the extended family that they have there.
Yeah, it was great because they come in and out of the movie, but we find out that they spent their entire life savings on this ad for their Super Mario plumbing company, and they're so proud of themselves when they're standing in the diner and they're like hugging each other, and the one guy just giving them the gears who they used to work for, and they're like, "Good luck with
Yes,
that."
Spike. Yep. Oh, yeah. I think there were a lot of subtle moments in terms of like dialogue or even like their actions that I was like, you didn't need to add that. You didn't need to add that they spent their life savings. It's like it's just a nice little touch that it's like, man, they
Yeah,
are just going all out for this business and their life's
it
gonna
makes them
somehow
more
get turned
likable.
upside down. Exactly. Yeah, they have heart, they have commitment. It's great.
Yeah. Just to kick it off, everybody, they tried their best to give us so many Mario Easter eggs. And there was probably 1,000 in there. And you and me were watching, and I kept looking at you every time there was a Mario Easter egg. But there was one you didn't notice, and that I brought up to you after we saw it.
Yeah.
And when they were in their truck ready to go, they got their first job, right? And they're in their
Yes.
truck, and the truck doesn't want to go, and it breaks down. So what do? They platformed. They made a level of Super Mario Brothers through Brooklyn where Luigi's just bumbling. He's trying to carry the supplies, and Mario is just like, "Come on, Lou!" And they're running through the city, but it's like a side scroll.
Yep.
Oh, and Mario's just flipping and jumping over people, and it was
Yeah.
an amazing sequence. It looks so good.
Yep. What I didn't notice was like why they did it. I think as I was so preoccupied by them platforming and like
Yeah.
showcasing Mario as this like athletic, energetic person jumping up and up through all the platforms, and Luigi's like just kind of fumbling along on the bottom level. But it was because their car broke down, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it just like totally skipped my mind. But I was like, cool, that's cool.
Yeah. It was a
I like
nice little
this.
segue.
Yeah, and that scene, the biggest thing that I was thinking of is this needs to be a Mario level, or
It
they
looks
need a
so
game
good.
that looks like this.
Yeah. Odyssey's
Well,
close, but I don't think they'll ever make it look like this movie. This movie looked absolutely incredible.
from what I understand, Illumination made like a new animation engine to create
Yeah,
this
a new
movie.
renderer. Yeah,
A new
they made a
renderer.
new renderer, and it took 7 years to make the film.
It shows because it
Yep.
looks amazing the whole way through. Like the details and the stitches in their hats and in their outfits, like all of the explosions and their carts. It looks great. Oh,
There's one before we get into them doing their job. There's a
yeah,
detail at the beginning when they're looking at their commercial. We see the original Jumpman,
yeah.
and he does the wahoo. It was so cool.
Just like Easter eggs
Yeah,
everywhere you look.
galore.
Yep, I was
It was
pointing.
done
You were
with heart.
pointing. It
Yeah,
was. They really thought it through, and it wasn't ever like shoved into your face. It was just
no,
there. If you catch it, great. If you watch it again, you might miss it again, but you
yeah.
catch it at some point.
Just to hop over, they go to this job where they're fixing a bathroom for this kind of rich family.
Yep.
And one of my favorite parts, it was in the trailer, but when Mario gets into the bathroom, it has a tight shot on the sink, and he just zooms over, and he's like, his eyes are there and he's peeking, and then there's one drip of the faucet, and he just spins his wrench and he's like fixing it. It's one of my favorite things. It's just like, I love this version of Mario, the dedication he
Exactly.
has to his job.
Exactly. He is a true craftsman. And
Yeah.
I think I laughed at that point because I was like, yes, like he's just like so sure of how to fix this. And then, as we know, everything just
All hell breaks loose.
falls apart.
And the dog was funny, but we're gonna hop over that. The whole house floods. All of Brooklyn ends up flooding, and they're like, we have to, how do we save the business? But then they're like, oh, we can save all of Brooklyn because they need someone to go fix the main pipe. So that's how we segue into the underground. How like
Yes.
the game has the underground and the themes. They go underneath Brooklyn and they're venturing through the underground pipes. And Mario, they see this like, oh my god, like what is this? You know,
Big green
big,
pipe.
yeah,
Oh, this big
not
underground,
even
I guess.
there.
Yeah,
Like
not
they
even
haven't
there
even got
yet.
there yet because they're trying to fix the main valve and they do it, but then they fall and they end up in this massive underground pipe thing. And they're like, what is underneath Brooklyn? Like, what is this place? And then Mario and Luigi, they're walking by and all of a sudden there's this massive green pipe, like you just mentioned. Guess what? Luigi disappears and Mario's taking a peek. What happens? He gets sucked in,
Sucked
goes
in.
right into Mushroom Kingdom. And
They
within 15 minutes, we're in Mushroom Kingdom and we're kicking off the film.
They wasted no time. It's like breakneck speeds, and I was all for it. You get a taste of everything. You get their characters. You get a bit of the setting, and boom, we're into the magic kingdom, into the Mushroom Kingdom.
It was
And
magical.
it was truly magical. And then
we see, you know, the bond was nice when they're getting sucked through the portals, and then like you could tell they love each other as brothers, and they're like, just like hold on to each other, and they slip away and they go their separate paths. Luigi ends up in the Badlands, and Mario ends up in Mushroom Kingdom.
And right away we're introduced to Toad. He's right
Yep.
there. Great. Yep. We're not wasting time.
Don't touch that mushroom, you'll die. He's like, no, that one, no, never mind. That one's okay.
That one is all good. And what are your thoughts on like the pacing of it? For me, I was so in love with the pacing. What did you think?
Yeah. For 90 minutes, I think it only slowed down once as we'll get to the scene, just because I was confused at what was happening, but then I was slowly loving what was happening. And we'll talk about it later. It has to do with Bowser, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
But for 90 minutes, this movie flew.
It did. I could have sat through it again and like not gotten up to have a break.
I think it was nice because we had Luigi in one place, Mario in another place, and we're going back and forth, and then we're meeting Peach, Toad's there. We're going back to Bowser. There's so many aspects that are, you know, popping up on screen for obviously to make the kids still pay attention, but for the viewer to have a nice experience.
Yep. So we saw it in theaters together, and we did surprise everybody. We do get to see each other in person.
Yeah.
And every once in a while. When we saw it, I think most of the theater was kids.
Oh, it was sold out for kids. They were walking in, mushrooms, cheaps, stuffies. They had the hats. Kids were ready for this movie.
They were, and I didn't hear a peep out of them the whole movie.
No, I was shocked.
That is a testament to the power of this movie and the storytelling, because it just like it captivated kids, and I mean it captivated us.
But you heard them, but we were doing the same thing. We're like, oh, you know, like anytime something popped up on the screen that needed a reaction, you got the, oh my, that's it. Yep. You know, one of those.
Yeah. It was very cool to see. Yeah. I wasn't taken out of it at all.
What I loved about the Badlands and Luigi's part is it's a subtle detail if you play Luigi's Mansion. But when he first gets into the Badlands, he has a flashlight and he's hitting it. And then the way he walks around and moves the flashlight, it's such a nice little Easter egg to we might be getting a Luigi's film, you know? And with the dry bones. I love the design of the dry bones. And anytime like Luigi knocked one out and he was like so happy about it, but then they just reformed. It looks so good. I love the dry bones.
They were really well done. They were actually like kind of scary looking. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were lots of them. Usually like in the games, dry bones are a little slower, but like Luigi was running away and they were keeping up. It was great.
Yeah, and they were like crawling all over each other, you know, to get to Luigi.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of Adria's favorite characters in the Mario universe is a Shy Guy.
So awesome.
And when they showed up, I loved how they did it. Where like Luigi's all freaking out, but it was all black, and they just appeared behind him, like looking at him, and then they just take him.
So
and
good.
They walk with their little feet, and they're just like, you know, they capture him and go. It's so good. I think we should jump to Bowser before we break into Mario and Peach's arc.
Yes.
Because the twist of this movie is that Bowser wants to marry Peach and is in love with Peach. And I didn't see it coming because the start of the movie is what you see in the trailer where he attacks the Penguin Kingdom and the ice castle, right? Yep. He obliterates it to get the star. His whole motive is to get the iconic, you know, invisibility star.
Yeah.
To present to Peach in order for him to ask her to marry him. Right. And it's hilarious because we're going to talk about it now. He has a song in this movie. Bowser sings because obviously they're like, Jack Black, do whatever you want.
Mhm.
And this song is now eligible for a Grammy because it's a song that they just created for the movie. But it's called Peaches.
Peaches.
And it's for a second I was confused because he was sitting on a piano and he starts singing. I was like, do I like this? And then he's kept going and I was like, I do like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is funny.
There's
And it was a good song.
It was. There's definitely some musicality to the song Peaches.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
And I've played quite a few of the Mario games. Super Mario Sunshine was like my big go-to as a kid on the GameCube because that was my first like 3D Mario platformer. And Bowser wants to capture Peach because she is apparently the mother of Bowser Jr. or Baby Bowser in this game.
What?
Yeah. So Baby Bowser, or sorry, Bowser Jr. is like masquerading as a painted Mario to try and capture Peach because he thinks it's his mom. Spoilers, it's not. But
that's funny.
That whole dynamic of like Bowser kind of being in love with Peach was just like, oh, it's so good. And Jack Black does a great job. And like the way they designed Bowser with like the big like googly eyes for Peach was just it was so good. It was a totally different side of him that I was like, I'm glad this was in the movie. He wasn't just like all bad.
He wasn't just evil. It adds extra character. And
Yeah.
speaking of Bowser Jr., he's not in the movie, but they do show us Baby Luigi, Baby Mario, and Baby Peach. And they all looked incredible. And the thing about Peach is it adds an interesting little backstory to her because it's mysterious, because she comes from a pipe and that's the toads, all the toads make her the princess of Mushroom Kingdom. So it's like, oh my God, where did Peach come from? So obviously, Mario Universe, they're giving us more movies, clearly. So we're going to eventually see where Peach actually came from, because what I love about this movie is they call Mario the Mustachio Man.
Yes.
Everyone must get the Mustachio Man, the man from above or something.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So like it gives a little bit of Peach, like where is she actually from? So that's a nice little Easter egg to build her story further into the next movies.
And even the Luma in the cage.
Yeah. That was hilarious. Everything is bad. Everything, I'm depressed.
Doom and gloom.
The most
Luma,
depressed character but it was hilarious. She was looked happy, but she's like, yeah, life's over.
Yeah. Everything
know?
is insignificant. That is just a great little character to add into the story, just to like break up the seriousness of Luigi's and everybody else's situations when they get captured.
Right. But it also creates more of like, okay, we're going to introduce more characters in the future. You know, it adds subtle little like Easter eggs that Rosalina's coming. Let's jump to when Mario first gets to the castle. I love the sequence when he's going through all the pipes and he's just getting destroyed because he doesn't know how to use them yet. And when he finally raises up from the pipe and he's all like, oh, and he faints because he's exhausted. And Toad's like, come on, Mario. And then, I don't know if you noticed this, but when he gets to the castle doors, those two Toadettes are sitting there. But it's like in the game when you reach a castle and they're like, yeah, Peach isn't here. She's in another castle.
It was,
again, but then Toad's like, no, I got to cook for them and you can go in.
He distracts them. It was great. Yeah. I loved it.
It's so funny, but it's a nice little Easter egg to the game saying, oh, Peach is not here. You got to go to the 33rd castle, you know?
Or he goes into the castle, Toad's distracting everybody, and then the other two guards that are next to him are kind of realize he like,
hey, what are you doing here? Yeah.
It's too funny. And then they have this big old chase, and finally Mario runs into Princess Peach. She takes him down, and then the Toads take him down afterwards.
Yeah, because then she realizes who he is right after she looks at him. She brings him to the round table of Toads.
Yes.
And there's like the magic, there's a map. The map looks so cool. I want a frame of that map.
Exactly.
Like all you have the DK Island, you have Bowser's Castle floating, you have Mushroom Kingdom, you have the Ice Castle. It looks so cool.
I want it in a coffee table.
Yeah, like a resin table. Exactly. A resin coffee table would be so cool. But yeah, after that, they're like, who is this Mustachio Man? And they're like, he's going to help me save Mushroom Kingdom, because then they find out Bowser's coming.
Yep.
But then she puts him through the training course. I love the training course sequence. The only thing I didn't like about it, we talked about it already, was the outside music. I think it would have been better with just Mario music. But
I
they needed
totally
the song
agree.
"I Need a Hero," and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But
And
other than that, it was good.
that song reminds me, all of course, of Shrek 2.
Shrek.
I
Yeah.
think the best inclusion of that song ever. But it was still good. I'm kind of glad that
Yeah.
that song was in there. I would definitely like to see in the next movie less of those songs
Yeah.
added and just throw in the Mario music, because there's a lot
Yeah.
of
Because
epic Mario music.
they did throw in the Mario music. It was
They
there.
did.
But I feel
Yeah,
like after "I Need a Hero," they did it too many times with other songs. And I was like, okay.
exactly.
But I love how they explain the power-ups
Yes.
with the
Yes.
mushroom. I thought it was a very clever way to do it.
Exactly. So go through it again with me, because I think from my understanding, eat it, it gives you those powers, and then if you
Yeah.
get hit, obviously you lose
You
them.
lose the powers and you have to
Yeah.
re-eat a mushroom. But the funny thing is, Mario hates mushrooms. He doesn't like eating
So
mushrooms. So it's a bit for him. You know, when Peach is like, he's like, of course it has to be a mushroom. Peach shows him the course and she just crushes it because she's been doing it forever. But he
yep.
slowly eats the mushroom and he's like, ugh. He throws it down and he gets all big. And I love how they
Yeah.
did him growing. It was so cool.
He kind of like pops out of like different spots
Yeah.
to make himself grow. I loved that part because I was like, in the trailers or even in the rest of the movie, when he ate a mushroom, he didn't look too different. He was just like a little bit bigger. So in the
Right.
context of everybody else, he fit perfectly. He still looked like Mario. He didn't have like this goofy, like lanky appearance or anything.
Yeah.
It was I loved how he looked, and like just putting him next to Peach, I was like, oh, he is a little bit bigger now. That's kind of cool.
Because he's tiny, right?
He
You don't know how
is.
tiny he is until he grows.
Exactly. And then he was able to crush the blocks overhead. He's able to
Yeah.
jump super high. So you gotta leave.
Yeah.
It's like superpower mushrooms.
Yeah. And then after a montage of him trying, he finally gets it right. Well, he fails, but he's so close, and he
Yep.
gets. But then Peach lets him. You know, she's like, "You did it. Now we can go get Donkey Kong." Right? She needs Donkey Kong's army to help fight Bowser. That's her whole. She needs everybody to help save Mushroom Kingdom. And what
Yes.
another thing with the mushrooms, they added the tiny mushroom in too.
Yes.
It's so good.
Great addition. And that's like a really late addition to the Mario game series. That was like
Yeah.
New Super Mario Brothers. So that was the DS
For the
Mario
Wii, right?
Brothers just before that. So the DS
Okay.
version of it, that's when that first
Right.
came out. And it's like, but it's cool that they did it, because it was a
Yeah.
mechanic that we'll get into later when we meet Donkey Kong. Next scene, we're going to
Yeah, we're
Kong
going
Island,
straight
right?
to Kong Island. Yeah.
Amazing.
But it's funny because what I love about Toad in this movie is all the other Toads are scared, you know, they're all frail. But our Toad, he's ready for action. He's like, I will
Yeah.
save you forever. And, you know, he tags along on the ride. And I read this the other day. People were saying they wanted to see Lakitu, but someone was like, well, what if he was filming the movie the whole time? Like, what if he was like a
Yes.
little Easter egg of him? He's the one behind the camera. But anyway, they go to DK
Is it
Palace, Kong Island.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Kong
Yeah.
Island. They go to
I don't
DK
know.
Palace and they
Yeah.
get there. The guy at the gate, Peach is like, we're here to see the king or whatever. And he opens the gate and they get in the car, which I think is a great way to show that it's like a little hint later because it creates the Mario Kart sequence that everybody knows from the trailers. It's like Diddy Kong Racing. It's a little nod to
Yes.
like why the karts are there, you know?
Exactly.
But the racetrack that he does to get him into DK Palace is so cool. Like I
That was
want
one of
that
my
as an actual
favorite
Mario Kart
scenes.
course.
Exactly. And like the different roads that kind of cut off from the main area, and then like you do the loops and everything. That was one of
Yeah.
my favorite scenes, because I like that like tropical vibe. So it
Yeah.
had like the sun and it had the water and all of like the huts and everything. It looks so cool. And then
Yeah.
we're
And
at the palace.
the speed of it's crazy. How they showed the speed of the car and how he's just hitting off
Yes.
all the other guys on the road.
Exactly.
And then they showed the banana. They showed the banana. He ate a banana and threw it, and one guy from the town, he just slipped off and went into the water. That was cool.
Exactly. And then they do, when they drop him off, or when the Kong drops him off, he pulls out the kite, right? Oh no, they do that
Yeah,
just
because
before.
they go off the ramp, the
Yes.
speed ramp. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they kind of like fall, and then they come back into the scene with the kite.
Yeah,
and they soar into the palace chamber.
it was cool. Yeah.
Yep.
And then from there, we get one of the coolest sequences in this movie, which is Donkey Kong versus Mario. And we see all the Kongs. I love the Kongs. And you see Cranky Kong. And then I was looking throughout the entire stadium. I was trying to find Diddy because there's a lot of Kongs and a lot of them are small. But I'm glad that when they're chanting "Go DK" and then Diddy Kong yells and then Cranky points him out, so the camera pans to him and he's next to Dixie and he's next to Funky Kong. And it was a nice little like, and Diddy has like one line, but it's a nice little Easter egg because I would love a Donkey Kong movie.
I
I would
absolutely
love King K. Rool. I would love a Donkey Kong movie.
right. We have the perfect villain for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it sets
And
up
they
so
already have all the
nicely.
models.
Exactly, exactly.
Everything's made.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm glad they showed Diddy and Trixie Kong because yeah, it's just like I'm doing the work. Like I'm looking everywhere and I don't see
Yeah.
them. They're like, okay, here you go. You
Here
can
you
have
go.
this one.
You've been waiting long enough. Here's your
Exactly.
star. And
Yep.
what I loved when Donkey Kong showed up, it's kind of like Thor Ragnarok when Hulk showed up. When the doors open and it's like, oh my God, who's coming through? But it wasn't like a serious, Hulk. It was he came in and he was dancing, right? He was sitting, he's
Exactly.
like giving them what they want to see. And he's sitting in with the peck pops. But what's
Exactly.
funny, I think you noticed this too. They did the DK rap in the
Yes.
background as he was coming out. And everybody
Yep.
was singing the DK rap. Oh, it was so cool. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's set up exactly like a Donkey Kong retro Donkey Kong game where
Yeah.
the platforms are all on angles and like there's a straight, so it's like you're playing an old school Donkey Kong game. And there was one point in their fight where I think I looked at you and I said, oh, it's like the Donkey Kong game, because there was one point he was rolling the barrels at Mario and Mario was hopping over him.
Exactly.
It was such a nice little Easter egg. I was like, see you.
Yeah, so they had everything in it. And then
And then we see Cat Mario.
yeah.
We get Cat Mario after all the failing he's doing. He's clearly losing the fight. He stands no chance. But then Peach believes
Absolutely.
in him, and she's like, "You can do it." And he finally gets, the question block, and he pops in.
Uh-huh.
It's Cat Mario, and then after that, it's all downhill for Donkey Kong, and it's
Game
such
over.
an it's like a 5-6 minute sequence, I think, for the whole thing. But it's so fast paced, and it's so enjoyable to watch because you have a new character. You're like, oh, the new dynamic. You have a power up. Everything's happening, and
Yeah.
then Mario finally wins, and then Donkey Kong's like, oh, okay, I give up, and then Cranky Kong's like, all right, I'll give you the army, because that's what the
Exactly.
stipulation he had. If you can beat Donkey Kong, I'll give you the army.
Exactly. Again, waste no time, but it builds tension really, really well because Mario sees Donkey Kong. He's like, "Ooh, this is going to be challenging." He goes for the power up. It's the mini mushroom. Gets whooped,
Yeah.
and
I forgot. Yeah, he gets the mini one first.
and then finally he's able to land the cat Mario suit, and then game over. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just everything happened at such a good pace, and now we're on to the Kong army heading out to defend
Yeah.
the Mushroom Kingdom.
But I loved how fast the Cat Mario suit made him, like how agile and quick and like sly
Yes,
he was. He was just zooming around, hopping.
they
But yeah,
they showed speed really, like you said with the carts. They showed
yeah,
speed really well too with Cat Mario. He's just like zipping across. Donkey Kong can't
yeah.
stand a chance there.
And I think this next scene when we get them all together, ready to go fight Bowser, it's for Rainbow Road. But what I loved about this so much, and I was grinning from ear to ear, is when they first entered, the one Kong was like, "Hey, we got to get you got to guys got to have your carts, right?" And Peach gets her outfit. She has one of the coolest outfits. But when
Yep,
they build their cart, it's like Mario Kart, the new Mario Kart 8, where you're scrolling through and you select your cart and then you go over, you select your wheels and then you select
exactly.
your parachute. I was like, this is such a cool Easter egg. I was
Yep.
loving it.
I love how they just built it into the universe. It's not like anything separate. It's like this is how they do it in their world. This is how you do it in the video game. Oh,
Yeah,
such a good
it was
detail.
so good. And Mario obviously picks the classic cart,
Yep.
right? And then Peach gets the bike, and then I love Toad. He gets the biggest monster
Those
truck, and he's rolling up, and he has his aviators on, and he's looking, and he's like bumping his tunes, and he's like, "Yeah, I got the baddest car in the planet." And then it creates and then Rainbow Road, one of the best looking sequences, I think,
amazing.
for sure,
Amazing.
hands down.
Yep.
For
Yep.
everyone, there was a nice little Easter egg with one of the Koopas, and he was throughout the whole movie at the beginning, and
Yeah.
you could tell he was the leader of the army, but you didn't know what his role was until it came to the Mario Kart sequence. And when his car blew up, he turned into the blue shell.
Yep.
And
Oh,
he was like, had a personality. He's like, you're not, I'm going to get you. And he turned into the blue shell. And it was
yep.
like the most chaotic, like, okay, he's coming after Mario and you're coming after DK because now they're, everything was crazy and their carts are flying. Everybody's getting
Yep.
destroyed. They're trying to beat all these Koopas from Bowser's army because it was a sneak attack, right? Bowser knew what was happening. And now everybody's rushing. Mario and DK are going, and then the blue shell gets them. And it
Yep.
blows up the entire course, and it looks so good.
Oh, it was so satisfying to see like that huge explosion and then the road just like shatter underneath them and then they just fall. And then they're going in the water and it looks
Oh my
so
God.
good.
Honestly, I'm afraid of water. Like, I'm afraid of
like deep open water.
Deep open water. So when they fell in there, I'm like, oh my God, this is not good for me. And then they
Anxiety.
showed the eel. They showed the eel from Mario 64.
Yep.
And I was even more terrified. I'm like, great, something I got to worry about for later. And then it munched him up. It munched him. And the scene didn't last long though.
No.
Because they're like, they got to keep the movie going. It's just a nice little Easter egg. They get munched by the eel and they figure out they deal with their differences on the inside of the eel. They're talking about a plan, right? Yep. And they figure out what they're going to do and they get out.
And they get out with the DK barrels.
Yeah.
And they fly on
Actually,
the barrels.
I didn't notice that. I didn't think about that. Yeah. That's cool. Because
good. I'm glad they had to do it. It was like that they just used that to zoom back to where they had to go.
Yeah. And it was great. And at this point, the Koopas capture every single person on the Mario Rainbow Road and they bring them to Bowser's castle. And this is when, Bowser comes in. We get the wedding for Peach because if he doesn't agree, he's going to hurt Toad and everybody else that she loves. So she agrees. And what I loved so much about this movie is that they didn't just give Mario the power-ups.
Yes.
They gave Donkey Kong the fire flower. He looked amazing.
Yep. Oh,
but anytime Peach got a power-up, her dress, the way they changed the dress, it looks so good.
Yep. So she had the fire flower first.
She did, yeah.
And
in the field of fire flowers.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that scene was beautiful, dude.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, so they're getting ready for the wedding, and Toad hands her the bouquet. And I
was like, what is happening here?
Yeah,
I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she pulls the ice flower.
So good. Oh,
I was loving it. And her dress turned all blue, and she would start throwing ice. I was like, I love ice powers in general, but the second they pulled the ice flower, I was like, Peach was so awesome in this movie.
Exactly. I love the part where Bowser is like, I'm going to sacrifice everybody in honor of your name.
He brings them all up as witnesses, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice them all the second we get married. It's in honor of you. And she's like, what? No.
Oh, it's such a good way to show Bowser. It's like he actually does like Peach, but he's just so bad that he's like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. And the whole time he's worried about Mario. Like, does she like the Mustachio Man more than me? Like, because Mario's making an impact on her and he has like scouts looking at this. Oh, it's so funny. He's all jealous. But then you see Luigi as they all rise up and all the Kongs are there. All the penguins are there, and they're just like, okay, what's happening? And Peach starts giving them the combos with the ice flower, and then she freezes Bowser, which was really cool, and then she froze the chain to stop them from falling in the lava. The lava looked great. Luigi, like, trying to escape the lava was awesome because his cage was melting. As that's happening, we get an amazing scene with Donkey Kong and Mario. They get their power-ups, and Donkey Kong gets the fire flower, and he looks so cool. And then they kick off another one of a great Mario level, and they have the music pumping and they're just hopping through. Donkey Kong's going up portals. He's jumping around. And I don't know, you probably caught this, but Mario did the ground pound.
Oh, like the butt pound?
Yeah. The butt pound. He did the butt pound and they were just running. They were hauling it. And then he gets the Lakitu.
Yes.
That's a power up.
Yeah.
And then they're climbing and then he's flying up. Right? Was that then? Yes, that's definitely them because he's flying up to Bowser's castle, right? He can't get up there. Then they fall and he gets Lakitu and he's zooming through and he's flying up into the Bowser's castle. Oh, it was so good.
And it's a good throwback to the beginning when he was a complete novice dealing with the pipes when he first went up to the castle. Now he's like, I got it. He's done some training. and Donkey Kong's right there with him. That whole scene
Yeah.
was so good, and that was like 30
Yeah.
seconds of the movie.
Yeah. And it was so good. But he gets Lakitu because Bowser sets off the Bullet Bill. And Bullet Bill is
Oh
going to destroy
yes,
Mushroom Kingdom. So he has the Lakitu and he's going real fast, like zooming.
yes,
And he
yep,
meets up with Bullet Bill and he's trying to like distract it, but then he flicks it in the eye. And
yes.
then it
Oh
gets angry and then it changes course.
yes, sorry. That I know what that is now. That was the Tanuki suit, the raccoon tail.
Oh, I said Lakitu. What's Lakitu?
Yeah, Lakitu's
Oh, that's
the
the one in the
on the
cloud.
on the cloud. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We said it
Yeah,
earlier. That's what I meant.
yes, the
Tanuki
Tanuki.
suit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and again, great
The
power.
raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing
um,
power up. And it looks so good. Him flying
mhm.
around.
And like the tail
But
spinning was just like
yeah.
it was so clean.
It
You
looked
know what's going on.
they took inspiration from Tails from Sonic 2.
I think so.
Yeah. But then his idea was to bring the Bullet Bill into the green pipe that led him here, right? So he wanted
Yeah,
to get it out, but then what I loved about it, it was like a Mario Odyssey vibe, where he brought the Bullet Bill into it, got stuck, and then exploded. So it merged Mushroom Kingdom and Brooklyn together. So like Bowser's Castle rose from the ground, and so they brought instead of Mushroom Kingdom, the final fight was in Brooklyn.
yes. Bring on the Mario Brothers home turf.
Yeah,
And at this point, Bowser's just like fuming.
yeah,
His
pissed.
eyes are like
Yeah,
red and glowing.
yeah, and you get a little Smash Brothers tease, right? They all formation on him. Donkey Kong's fighting him, Peach is fighting him, Toad's fighting him. It's like a
Yes,
little Smash Bros. Things because he chucked Mario into the diner where he was at the beginning of the movie.
that's
And
right.
that's when you
And
saw
he's
the
reeled
old
down.
Jumpman game,
Yep,
right? You saw the old Jumpman game. You pointed that out to me. When we were in the theater. But yeah,
yep,
he's down and out. And then the TV is playing his ad, right? And it's like glitching. So he
yep.
gets inspiration. It's like, okay, I need to, it's a nice little way for him to get re-energized in a way to go
Exactly,
save
exactly.
Brooklyn. It's like this is his chance to save Brooklyn.
And how does it play out now? It goes
He gets up again because Bowser's going to use the star, right? The whole point of them fighting him is to get him away from the star. And like he
yes,
sees all the people around, and like his family is there peeking out the windows, and he sees everybody. And I think he sees Luigi get hurt or something. So he's going. They're trying to keep him from the star, and they knock it away from him. And Mario's close to reaching it, but then he falls, and Bowser launches his fire at him. And it's a beautiful cut where you see Mario, and he's like hurtled up,
yep,
and it pans towards Luigi, and he's holding it Captain America style. He's got the sewer cover. He's holding it like Captain America. He's holding off
yep.
this fire. And then they have this moment. It's like we're better together. Like it's
E-
callback to the beginning of the movie where they're a team and they're so much better when they're together. And they
Exactly.
hold it off, and they both. It's really tense because you think, okay, Bowser's it's just gonna obliterate them, and it
Yeah.
cuts to white, and they reach the star at the same time. And I don't know why I thought this is the only other thing. I thought something bigger was going to happen, but I
Okay.
wasn't like I think obviously they're saving it up because like sometimes in the new Bowser's Fury Super Mario World game like Bowser's
Mhm.
Massive or like these other things are going to happen. I don't know why I thought something bigger was going to happen, but I wasn't dissatisfied because the second they grabbed the star, I was like, oh yeah, star power. And then the star power song started going, and they created another Mario level sequence where they're just zooming through, pan, jumping over things and crushing all the Koopas and getting to Bowser.
Yes.
And they
They
just
did that
crush.
like
They just, yeah,
they did that big thing where they like hit the one Koopa and they all just like explode out from behind them.
yeah.
That was so good.
And they're just running through everybody. And they get
Oh,
to Bowser and they hit him with the 1-2.
yep.
And
And
he can't do nothing.
they did like a jump from like really high up with their like feet out, gonna like stomp them.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh, one thing I
I
wanted to say
yeah,
every time they're running, they obviously the
they do
people who
their
are animating this, they do the run where
yes,
his hands are in real tight and he's just chugging
yep,
along, and then they do the other one when their
with
hands
their
are
arms are
behind them and
back.
they're just
Yep,
running real fast. Oh, I loved anytime they added a little different run to them or like hop or like walk. They added
exactly.
all the Mario runs from all the games.
Yep,
It was great.
it was so good. What I thought was gonna happen in that last fight was they were gonna do like Mario's Ultimate Smash,
Yeah.
but
Where he does the fire. But that
yeah,
wouldn't really make sense for that.
it
But
wouldn't.
I was expecting something bigger because I didn't know that was just that star was all it did, right? As the
Me
power up.
too.
I didn't
So
know it was that star.
So when they said superstar, I was thinking power stars. Power stars are the collectibles that you get in Super Mario 64. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a power star where you have a lot more power or whatever. But this is a superstar, and the superstar is literally invincibility.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, as soon as the music happened and I saw like the rainbows around them, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's this star.
Oh,
God, like it was just
yeah.
like a little light bulb in my head. I totally didn't get that for the entire movie until that
Yeah.
moment.
But how cool was the star power? It looked great. Like when the smoke cleared and they're all dun, 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 you know?
Yeah, it's so good. Oh,
And they were just glowing. But yeah, they
yep,
beat Bowser, they crush
of
him,
course.
and
Yep.
the whole city sees the Mario Brothers save Brooklyn. So now they're the saviors of Brooklyn. Everybody goes back to Mushroom Kingdom, everything settles, and Donkey Kong goes back, but they're like bros now, and the Toads love the Mario Brothers. But what's funny is that now, instead of being the plumbers for Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure at some point they are, but they're also the plumbers for the Mushroom Kingdom, and they're jumping in, they got their
Yes,
things, and they go off and they're ready to go, and the movie ends on such a good note. They're like, okay, they're now the famous Super Mario Brothers.
exactly. They've integrated like Homeworld, Mushroom Kingdom all together, and they're like, yeah, such a happy ending.
And two post credit scenes, everybody. There's two post credit scenes. The first one we see Bowser. It's another it's another musical number, but it's him being saying Peaches, but then it cuts back to because the first time they do it, it's in like his imagination, and then one of the Koopas snaps him out of it. So it does it again, and one of the Toads snaps him out of it,
Yep.
and he's tiny Bowser. They feed him the mini mushroom to capture him when they beat
Yes,
Bowser the first time. So he's in this tiny cage with this tiny piano, and they're just like keeping him on guard, like he can't do nothing. So that's the first end credit scene. But real quick about the piano, when the first time
yeah,
he sings Peaches and he gets snapped out of it, and the Koopaling is there, they're talking,
yes,
and they start playing the piano. They start playing the they start playing the
yes.
and like
And then Cammy
the
just
evil
like adds a
underground
couple
theme.
little flourishes at the end. Oh,
Yeah, it's
so
so
good.
cool. I want the soundtrack, like the new updated Mario soundtrack for this movie. How cool to be on like a vinyl just to have
I would love to have that. Oh
the
yeah.
thing. But anyway, the second end credit scene, everybody, the end credit scene. I was waiting for this because they teased it in the middle of the movie, and I was
Yep.
hyped to see it. We get my boy Yosh. We get Yosh.
I did not know
We
you
get the
had
little
that.
egg. I got it when I was down for Easter. I got it at
That's
Toys R Us.
amazing. Oh
It's the
man.
softest plush ever. But they teased it in the underground pipes because the Yoshi egg was gifted to Bowser and Peach for their wedding, and it was sitting there on the castle. The castle came up through the pipes, it was under there. So we're in the underground pipes, and it comes up to the egg. I knew we weren't going to see it, but it cracked, cut to black, and we get the classic, we get the
Yep.
classic
Oh,
cry. That was terrible, but I'll input I'll put the sound effect over top of that.
that's good. Good idea.
But yeah, I'm so hyped for Yoshi in the second movie, dude.
I have no idea where they're going to go with it.
No,
Are they going
because
to
it's endless
go?
possibilities.
Yeah. Are they going to go
Endless
Galaxy?
possibilities.
Are they going to go Yoshi's Island? Who knows? We have no
Maybe
idea.
they're probably going to do Yoshi's Island, and they'll
That'd
probably
be
take it
cool.
to Galaxy for the third one, and then they'll start incorporating like a Donkey Kong movie, Luigi movie. I
Yep.
think they're going for a Smash Brothers now that this one has crushed. I don't know if you saw the news today,
Oh,
a week of its release. It's made over $500 million. It's the biggest grossing video game movie of all time. It's broken all kinds of records. This movie is going to destroy.
good
And I'm
job.
so happy. I'm so
Yep.
happy it's doing this because we
Me
needed a movie
too.
like this to bring it back to theaters. And we need a
Yeah.
resurgence of these kind of films because I'd love a Star Fox film. I would love one of those. A
That
Donkey
would be
Kong
cool.
film.
Yep.
I love a Super Smash Bros. Film. I want, the podcast we're talking about coming up. We want a
Yep.
Zelda film. All these
Exactly.
films.
I'd
Nintendo
even
has
love
such great IP.
a Metroid film. You can actually do like
Oh my
a,
God. Yeah.
semi horror alien esque movie. Like it would be like there's so many possibilities. And
It's crazy.
what I really like about the Nintendo franchise, to an extent, is the games don't have very big grand stories. It's the
No.
ideas that you create in your head that build up this like massive world, and that's why you can make a movie out of it.
And what's crazy is that there's so many more items available for future movies, like to surprise us even more. Like we got Fire Flower, Ice Flower. but there's so many different mushrooms, and there's, you know, other power
Exactly.
ups other than
I
the
would.
cat suit, and you know,
Do
yeah,
you remember that wonky mushroom from Mario Maker that turns Mario into
you
like this
get
really
lanky,
yeah. I would
lanky,
love to see that in
yeah.
another movie.
I would love the beefy one. You know, the beefy one where you can just bulge through the level.
Yes. That's what
That
I thought they
mushroom,
were
that one's
actually
good.
going to bring up today in this
Yeah,
movie to like kind of compete with Bowser, but
yeah.
maybe they'll do it in the next one.
Because I think they're leading up. Obviously, Bowser's gonna have his revenge, but I want Bowser by the third movie to do Bowser's Fury, where he gets the Giga Bowser, right? And
Yes.
he has the whole team with everybody. Yoshi's there, all the
Mhm.
Yoshis. They're gonna have the Yoshi clan. Like, there's so many power ups that they could use, and it's just gonna be a good time. The next movie, it's coming out, guaranteed, like soon.
Yep.
I bet you they've already pushed production on it.
Do you think seeing Bowser in say they do 3 movies, do you think they'll do Bowser in all 3?
I think they will. I think
Yeah.
there's ways, because there's no other really Mario villain, right? Other than, like, they might
Not
bring in
main
the
series.
Bowser. They might bring the Bowser, like the, what are they called? The Koopalings, with like, you got all the different mini Bowsers you fight throughout the Mario games.
The Koopalings. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Koopalings, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I think they'll bring in
that's
those.
I think so too, and I think in the second movie, I would love to see the Koopalings, and then
Rescue Bowser,
that would
break
be
into Mario
cool.
Kingdom to get him out, and that's how they end the movie. Where like he escapes, and then the third movie they have to stop him from like getting gigantic, like, you know, like the Bowser's Fury. Dude, it's writing itself.
That wow,
And
I
then they
wasn't
have to
even
get
thinking of
Donkey
that.
Kong and the Yoshi and everything.
Yes, wow,
Yeah.
I was your idea is way better. I was gonna say I want I want them to just have to fight. Oh, like yeah, I was gonna say Koopalings at the beginning
Yeah.
break in and capture and recapture Bowser, and then at the end they have to fight Bowser in his castle, like in the castle, and that's when like Mario
That'd be
jumps
cool.
on like the hammer to drop the bridge, and then you see like the Bones Bowser as like
Yeah.
kind of final boss, and then in the
Yeah, that'd be
third one,
cool.
that's when we get Giga Bowser from like
Yeah.
Bowser's Fury. But
Yeah. I think taking what you want and meshing with what I want, I think having to start off with the Koopalings and like venture the midway point of the movie is when they finally get to, you know, reclaim Bowser. And that's when everybody
yeah,
in the Mushroom Kingdom is like, no, we can't let this happen. And then they chase him to the castle. And that's how that movie plays out. And then the final is what, you know, what you want to
yes,
see is traversing through Bowser's
the
castle, and,
castle,
you know, the
yeah,
music's playing. Yeah, just the whole nine. But that's a whole nother podcast talking about the
it is.
future of Mario. So I think we'll cap it off with, you know, it was an amazing time. I know I saw it with my niece and nephew, Adria,
Yep,
her brother. They were all loving it. Kids were loving
yep.
it. I left the movie thinking, you know, I want to watch it again. I'm buying it on Blu-ray. I can put it on anytime. It's going on the animation shelf. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you saw the Blu-ray special editions they're releasing. I'm not going to get it because it won't look good on the shelf, but they're
Mhm.
releasing it in a star. So it's a steel book, and it's shaped like the star, and on the inside the disc is there. But I think would be a better steel book is that way it would look, you know, clean on the shelf like this. Is
Yep.
that each steel book had like an item on it. So you had the mushroom on one or the star on one. It was limited editions, and you had the fire flower. That way you can, like, some people could collect them all, right? And you can have all the Mario
Yes.
items with
That
the
is a
discs. I think that would be cool.
ooh, you should you
Money
should call
making.
Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah, money making. But yeah, what's your overall final thought of this film?
Loved it. It was fun.
Yeah,
I want to watch it again. And like
yeah,
you said, put it on in the background, watch it a couple times, catch all the Easter eggs again, and just like giggle until I see the next one.
yeah. It's like we're finally got Nintendo movies coming. Like, we finally got the Sonic movies, and now Nintendo's bringing their A game, and they got a
Hmm.
great animation studio to do it, and it looked phenomenal. And it's only going to get better from here, right? Because Nintendo now, with the success of this, they're going to be like, take them all, you know,
Exactly.
take our entire lot. And
Exactly.
I'm very
Oh,
excited for the future of Mario. So thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed our take on the Super Mario movie. We loved it. We're going to watch it again, and we want to hear your comments. Post them down below. We want to talk to you guys about it, if you guys loved it or not.
absolutely.
And
Yes.
and until next time, I'm Brian.
And I'm Nick, and this is 2 hours on a Sunday.
We'll catch you guys later.